The Awakening, the Revised Edition, by Lilac Moon. Chapter 17. The Shroud of the Dark Side Falls. Palpatine smirked with evil satisfaction as he watched smoke billow from the Jedi Temple. He had just addressed the entire galaxy and declared himself Emperor. Everything was turning out just as he had foreseen. As he turned away from the window in his private sitting room, which was just behind his pod in the Senate Rotunda, he heard a small, incessant tapping noise. And it was not a surprise to find the sound belonged to Master Yoda, who soon came into the Sith Master's view. Well, Master Yoda. I've been expecting you. I was beginning to wonder if you were going to show. Sidious goaded. One yet you have not, Darth Sidious, Yoda stated, but the Sith Lord only cackled evilly in amusement. Oh, but I have, my delusional little green friend, Sidious chuckled. See for sure we will, Yoda said as he shed his cloak and his lightsaber flew into his hand. Sidious frowned. So be it. I have waited a very long time to kill you, and it looks like I will finally be rid of you today, Sidious said as he drew his weapon. With a vicious howl, his crimson blade sprang forth, and he launched at the diminutive Jedi Grandmaster, who unleashed his own battle cry and leapt at the Sith Master. Their blades crashed with lightning-fast movements and crackled upon contact each time they met. Yoda's surprising agility allowed him to evade many of Sidious's ferocious strikes and thrusts. When it was clear to the Sith that he would not best Yoda in a lightsaber duel, he unleashed Force Lightning on the Jedi, throwing him free-falling down into the Senate Rotunda, hitting several pods on the way down. Sidious followed and launched his continued assault on the small Jedi Master. Darth Vader looked around the control room and smirked, admiring the carnage that was his handiwork. As he stepped outside, the sound of the roaring lava filled his ears. He started back towards his ship, only to find a Jedi standing in his way. Well, if the information from my master is correct, then you must be the famous Obi-Wan Kenobi, Vader stated. And you must be his new Sith lapdog, Obi-Wan retorted, causing Vader to glare at him. Obi-Wan didn't let on, but facing this young man up close was difficult, for he could see both Anakin and Padme's features in him. So you want to die today, along with the rest of your Jedi friends? Vader stated as he drew his lightsaber. Obi-Wan chuckled. Oh no, I don't plan to die today. I am, however, going to make you pay for all the Jedi blood that you have spilled today, and all the lives you have destroyed, Obi-Wan said as he drew his weapon. It was Vader's turn to chuckle. How noble, he chuckled. How does it feel, Kenobi? He taunted before continuing. How does it feel to know that my father, your former apprentice, was so easily killed by me? You should have seen him. He was pathetic, weeping for a son he never knew and whining for his little whore of a wife. So much for the great hero with no fear. He was a joke, Vader sneered. How does it feel for you? Obi-Wan shot back. How does it feel to be cheated out of having two of the most loving parents a child could ever ask to have? Obi-Wan stated. Vader scoffed. How does it feel to know you'll never even be half the man your father is? You're the only pathetic one, certainly not worthy of parents like Anakin and Padme, Obi-Wan retorted. Vader snarled and ignited his blood-red blade. You're going to eat your words, Kenobi, and then I'm going to kill you, Vader roared. You will try, Obi-Wan replied, as he ignited his blade and sunk into a fighting stance, as Vader launched at him. We're only about an hour away. I told my contact what to expect when we got there, and the doctors are standing by. He'll be in good hands very soon. He tried to assure Padme as she sat beside her unconscious, wounded Jedi husband. He'll pull through, Rex added, catching her attention. General Skywalker's been through a lot of scrapes before, and he always pulls through.
I always figured there had to be something important that always brought him back. Guess I was right,
he said, looking at her. Padme smiled. Thank you. He always talks about you. I'm glad I finally got to meet you, Commander Rex. She said.
The pleasure is all mine, Senator.
Rex replied. Her face fell. I guess I'm not a senator anymore, being that there is practically no Senate now, she mentioned.
Then, perhaps, you prefer Lady Skywalker?
He responded. She brightened. I like that, but you can just call me Padme too, she replied. He nodded, and suddenly she cried out, as she held her stomach.
What is it?
Rex asked. I'm fine, it was just a contraction. Ow! Padme cried out again, bringing Ahsoka to her side. Padme felt fluid trickling down her legs. Oh no, my water broke! Padme panicked.
Senator Organa, you better see if you can squeeze more speed out of the hyperdrive. She's in labour,
Rex called. Master Yoda barely escaped his duel with Sidious. He probably could have defeated the Sith Master in a fair lightsaber battle, but Sidious relied heavily on his powerful Force lightning, which he wielded expertly. Yoda hopped into a small shuttle and set a course for Polis Massa. Their hope was dwindling, but Yoda knew that it now rested on 2 sets of tiny shoulders, on 2 younglings that had yet to be born. Obi-Wan brought his lightsaber up and around, slicing through Vader's legs. The Sith apprentice fell to the ashy ground with a hard thud. He slid down the slope, closer and closer to the lava river. He stared at the man that was supposed to have been Anakin and Padme's firstborn son. The fire licked at the twisted young man and began to consume his body. I hate you! He screamed, his eyes bleeding yellow. Obi-Wan turned away and made his way to the top of the platform. He needed to get to Anakin and Padme. They needed him. Bail landed the ship on the designated landing platform and dropped the ramp. At that point, the doctors waiting wheeled a gurney up to the ramp and into the cabin. Together, Mace and Rex lifted Anakin's form onto it and let them wheel it down. Rex then lifted Padme and carried her down, amidst another contraction.
She went into labour almost an hour ago,
Rex called to the lead doctor, who was called Zeon Termek.
Bring her this way, quickly,
the Masson called out as he led a small party into the medical facility. Hours later, Obi-Wan arrived on Polis Massa, only to find that Master Yoda had arrived not too far ahead of him. It seemed that the ancient master had barely escaped his duel with Darth Sidious, and now they would all be forced into hiding.
Thank goodness you're all right,
Bail said.
What's happening?
Obi-Wan asked.
His heart rate keeps skyrocketing, and his internal organs are trying to shut down. He's fighting though, but it's not looking good. Padme's water broke while we were en route. It seems that the stress has gotten to her, and she is in heavy labour right now,
Bail informed him. Obi-Wan rushed into the med room. Anakin lay on the medical table, as the Masson doctors swarmed around him and his wife. Padme lay beside him, contractions racking through her body, but she refused to be taken from Anakin's side.
Obi-Wan!
Anakin choked out, his body shaking from the amount of Force lightning his body had sustained. He had awakened not too long ago to a world of pain, and now sensed his former master. Ahsoka and Rex were close by as the doctors would allow them to be.
I'm here, Anakin,
Obi-Wan said as he brushed Anakin's bangs from his eyes. This particular action assaulted his mind with memories of the last time he had done this very thing. Anakin had been just a little boy, and had just become his Padawan. He had woken up from a terrible nightmare, this particular one being about his time when he was in the captivity of Gundala the Hutt, and was called out for his mother. Obi-Wan had never been sure how Anakin remembered such things, being that he'd only been 3 at the time. But it was clear that the boy was haunted by his life as a slave. The simple gesture of him brushing the boy's bangs from his eyes had been comforting, and nothing had changed that fact over the time.
Master!
He cried out.
It's all right, Anakin,
Obi-Wan comforted.
Ahsoka!
He cried, and his young Padawan stepped forward. I'm here too, Master, she squeaked.
I'm so proud of you, Ahsoka. And Rex, you've been a good friend,
Anakin said weakly.
Take it easy, sir. You're going to come through this,
Rex insisted. Mace and Yoda stood silently and forlornly in the background, as they felt Anakin's strong life force fading quickly.
Obi-Wan,
he said as his former master took his hands.
Take care of Padme and my children for me, Anakin choked out. You're going to be fine, Anakin, and you're going to do that yourself.
Obi-Wan replied.
Annie, please don't leave me!
Padme cried out as another contraction hit.
I'm sorry, Angel. I love you, and I'll always be with you. Tell our babies that I love them very much.
Anakin's voice faded as he slipped into unconsciousness.
Anakin!
Screamed Padme. Who's going into cardiac arrest? The healer shouted. He and his team swarmed around Anakin, attempting to bring his heart rate down. Obi-Wan choked back tears as he watched Anakin almost slip away. Once the healer stepped back, Obi-Wan was back at his side.
He looked lifeless. No, he can't be!
Obi-Wan cried. He's alive and stable for the moment, but I'm afraid he slipped into a deep coma, the Master and Doctor determined.
Will he come out of it?
Obi-Wan asked. Only time will tell, the healer replied. Padme sobbed uncontrollably.
Annie! No, please! Annie! I need you!
She cried. Obi-Wan took her hands.
Padme, you must calm down.
He soothed her.
Her contractions are less than 2 minutes apart. It's time to start pushing, Lady Skywalker.
Dr. Termek told her, using the name he had been given for her upon her arrival. Pain racked through Padme's petite form as she began pushing with the healer's instruction. Some time later, the first child's head was crowning. Padme screamed in pain as she birthed the first child.
A boy,
the doctor said.
Luke,
Padme managed to say, as another contraction hit her. Padme screamed as the second child wasted no time.
A girl,
the doctor said.
Leia,
Padme said.
Hold on, Padme. Don't give up,
Obi-Wan said, as he sensed her slipping away.
Obi-Wan, take care of our children,
Padme said breathlessly.
You must hold on, Padme,
Obi-Wan pleaded.
I'm sorry. I'm so tired. I'm going to be with Anakin now,
she said as her brown eyes closed.
No! No, Padme! No!
Ahsoka said as she cried for her master, and the woman who had become like a mother to her.
She's gone,
Obi-Wan said sadly.
Not exactly,
Dr. Termek stated. All of their attention turned to him.
This is very curious. She has slipped into a coma too, just like her husband,
the doctor said.
You mean they're both still alive, but each in a coma?
Obi-Wan asked in disbelief.
Yes, it is very curious. I have never seen anything like this. There is nothing physically wrong with Padme, but her vitals are identical to her husband's. When he changes, hers change to mirror his, the doctor explained. So, if Anakin manages to awaken, then Padme will too?
Mace asked. That is the theory I would venture. Though, without putting him in some form of status, it is likely that he will not survive, Zeon replied. There has to be a way to give his body the time it needs to heal, Bail said.
There might be one chance,
Zeon stated.
What is it?
Obi-Wan asked.
There is an experimental technique I can try. It is called carbonite freezing. It would preserve their bodies and allow him to heal, but it's never been tried on humans before. There is a chance that they will not survive it,
Zeon stated.
And if we don't do this?
Bail asked.
Then he will likely die in a few days, and she along with him,
Zeon replied.
It's our only hope,
Obi-Wan replied, as he cradled their son, while Ahsoka cradled their daughter. A few hours later, Zeon Termek entered the room where they awaited any news. Obi-Wan cradled Luke, while Bail held Leia. It had already been decided that he would adopt her, as it would be too dangerous to let Padme's family know the children survived. For their plan to work, the rest of the galaxy would have to believe that Anakin and Padme were dead. It had also been decided that Ahsoka would take refuge in the palace on Alderaan with Bail and Breha. She would be Leia's caretaker and eventually bodyguard when she got older, never revealing that she knew Leia's biological parents until the time was right.
The carbonite freezing was successful. Padme's condition seems to be dependent on Anakin's. I have never quite seen such a connection between two people before,
the doctor said, pausing for a moment. The will of the Force. Obi-Wan heard the words echo through his mind.
Will Anakin's injuries heal?
Mace asked.
Things look very promising, but the impact of the lightning has devastating effects on his body. It could take years before he is ready to be brought out of hibernation, Xion reported. Wait for them to heal, we will. Bide our time and safeguard the twins, we must. Until reunited with their parents, they can be,
Yoda decided.
Obi-Wan, you will take Luke to Anakin's family on Tatooine. You may reveal the truth to them, but it would be best to conceal it from Luke until he is ready. Remain on Tatooine and watch over the boy, until the time is right to reveal his parentage,
Mace said. Obi-Wan nodded.
Senator Organa, you will raise Leia as your own, until the time is right for her to learn of her parents, and her brother as well. Ahsoka, she will be presented as the Princess of Alderaan, and in more plain view of the Emperor. It will be your mandate to act as her bodyguard, as we discussed earlier,
Mace said. Bail and Ahsoka nodded.
You'll be welcomed warmly at the palace, young one,
Bail assured her, trying to console the devastated Padawan.
Thank you, Senator Organa,
Ahsoka replied.
I will travel to Chandrila and seek help from Mon Mothma. In return for her sanctuary, I will begin helping her establish a rebellion against the Empire,
Mace told her.
Sir, what about me?
Rex questioned.
What do you want most, Rex?
Obi-Wan asked.
Sir?
He asked uncertainly. No one ever asked a clone what they wanted.
You made a choice to help us, when it went against everything you've been groomed for. You should be able to choose your own path now,
Obi-Wan stated.
I owe Anakin everything. I want to do whatever I can to help him and watch over his kids,
Rex replied. Obi-Wan smiled.
Good. I will not reveal myself to Luke until it is time. From what Anakin has told me about his brother-in-law, he is very intolerant of Jedi, and will likely refuse to let Luke know the truth about his parents until he is older. But my stipulation to that will be, is that his Uncle Rex would be allowed to visit every few months. Your story will be that you used to be a pilot with his father. Luke will want to know everything, but you must be sparse about any details until the time is right to tell him everything. When you are not visiting Luke, you'll be working here at the hospital as head of security, allowing you to keep an eye on Anakin and Padme. I've already cleared this with Dr. Turmek,
Obi-Wan said. Rex smiled.
Thank you, sir.
Rex replied.
What about you, Master Yoda?
Bail asked.
To Dagobah I will go. Void of technology it is, and a good place to hide it will be,
Yoda replied. With that, they parted ways. Obi-Wan delivered Luke to Owen and Beru Lars. He told them the truth about what had happened to Anakin and Padme, assuring them that they would awaken someday. He also told them that a good friend of Anakin's would visit Luke occasionally, and though Owen wasn't crazy about the idea, he accepted it. Bail took Leia home to Alderaan, where he and his wife would raise Leia until her parents could be awakened. Ahsoka would guard the young princess, her master's daughter, and await the awakening of her master and his wife anxiously. As Obi-Wan settled into his hovel in the desert on Tatooine, he reflected on the funeral procession that was taking place on Naboo that very day. What they had decided to do had been his idea, and he hoped by revealing Padme's secret marriage to Anakin, and how they had perished in an unfortunate ship crash on the way home to Naboo, which had been caused due to them escaping the persecution by the Empire, it would inspire people with hope for the future, as love stories often did. Little did he know, his own love story was about to be renewed. He leapt to his feet as he heard someone enter his hovel. He ignited his blade, and the cloaked figure yelped in surprise as they took off their hood.
Obi-Wan gasped and extinguished his blade. Satine?
He asked in disbelief. Hello, Obi-Wan, she greeted.
How did you find me?
He asked. When Palpatine announced that he was the Emperor, I had to escape Mandalore or face execution. I escaped to Chandrila and received sanctuary from Mon Mothma. It was there I met up with Mace Windu, and he told me where you were, she replied.
They were going to execute you?
He asked. I wasn't exactly Palpatine's favourite, or choice for leader, she replied. He closed his distance between them and they hugged. Mace told me everything about Anakin and Padme. I heard Palpatine denouncing them on the HoloNet as traitors, but Naboo is hailing them as heroes. It was beautiful how you made sure their love story was known, Satine said softly.
I miss them already. But I wasn't going to let their courage to do what I never had the courage to do go unknown,
Obi-Wan replied. What we never had the courage to do, she corrected as she took his hand.
Are you staying?
He asked. All the things that kept us apart from before either don't exist or don't matter anymore. So, where else would I be? She asked. He smiled gently. We have a chance to make this right, she added. He nodded.
Yes, and I'm not going to mess it up this time,
he replied. Me neither, she replied, as their lips slowly met in a tender kiss. And now, knowing that his existence wouldn't be a lonely one, he knew he would fare much better while they waited for the day when Anakin was healed, and he and Padme would awaken. Naboo. The funeral procession took place in the streets of Theed. The closed caskets were carried through the streets, containing the remains of Naboo's beloved Padme Amidala and Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker. Her ship had been found 4 days ago, crashed on a planet en route to Naboo, caused by malfunctioning engines. Their route had been obscured due to the fact that they had been escaping the new oppressive regime that now ruled the galaxy. It was announced that only their charred remains could be found. As a shocking revelation, it was also revealed that Amidala was in fact secretly married to Skywalker, and their unborn child died with them. The two were buried side by side. Their memory was beloved and cherished by the people, while the Empire announced that they were suspected of treason against the Empire and not to be admired. The death of Skywalker and Amidala was welcome news to Emperor Palpatine. He had searched the Force, trying to sense any sign of Anakin in case there was treachery at work, but he found no trace of him nor Amidala. Without Skywalker among what was left of the Jedi, and without Amidala leading the opposition, the fledgling rebellion that was forming was of little worry to him. The galaxy mourned not only Amidala that day, but Skywalker as well. The hero with no fear had been there to give them hope during the war, but it seemed that hope had died with him, as the galaxy was plunged into darkness and ruled with an iron fist by Emperor Palpatine. His second in command, Darth Vader, struck fear into the hearts of all when they saw him. His mangled body had been encased in a black armor and a terrifying mask. His breathing was controlled artificially, and a terrifying hiss signified the workings of his lungs. Darth Vader stood beside his master on his personal Star Destroyer, where they were overseeing the beginnings of the construction on the Death Star, Palpatine's ultimate weapon of destruction. Darkness reigned, but what the Sith were not aware of was that hope was not dead, and there was still a glimmer of light in the darkness. In the next chapter, 18 years have passed. Young Luke Skywalker is restless and knows that there is more to his life than being a moisture farmer. Young Leia Organa finds herself involved with the rebellion and in over her head upon her capture by the Empire, after being separated from Ahsoka, her longtime caretaker and bodyguard. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan and Satine feel that time is nearing, and that is confirmed when Mace reveals that Anakin and Padme are healed, and their mundane existences in hiding will forever be changed by an onslaught of events that will bring them all together again, and the truth is brought to light as hope is awakened. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that one. Very bittersweet, rather dramatic. And, oh, yeah, so the end of the third one and beginning of A New Hope next chapter. So, oh boy. I like this, though, because it lets them heal without them knowing and sets up foreshadowing for carbonite freezing. So, all in all, not a bad chapter. I actually really like this. And I like that Bale is letting Ahsoka guard Leia. That's really heartwarming. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified for whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, gals and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.